Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our another edition of the Hindu Mediji, wherein we discuss the front pages, editorial, text, context, and any other relevant news that are most necessary to. You cannot escape it basically. So here, let us start in today's. Basically, if you summarize for briefly that what are the topics that we are going to discuss, it's a front page news that consists of no trust motion against Modi government brought by the opposition. Another one is that our Solicitor General has gone for Supreme Court to the Supreme Court for extension of indispensable ED Director Sanjay Misra due to some reasons that we will mention. Another one is that Lok Sabha passes for forest conservation bill. So major headlines we could say that we shall go a bit detail, and further in editorial section we have editorials on that opposition's demand for no confidence motion against the Prime Minister and why Prime Minister should come forward to put his statement on Manipur crisis. So how to solve Manipur crisis. Another one is there on IMF Global Outlook report of the post-pandemic economic condition of the countries, and they have handled major economies like USA, China, Euro. So and another two articles in the editorial section. One is written by a Chinese official, diplomatic official, saying that Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO), which was held recently in India, and Delhi Declaration was brought on. So her insistence upon of inevitability of and as counter-offensive of Cold War situation that is being recreated by the global powers. So SCO is here to stay and it has lots of virtues. Iran has been made into a permanent member of that one. And another one is article in editorial, a good article is about the debt dilemma, debt dilemma. That you know that GDP to ratio of debt, ratio of debt to GDP ratio is quite high in India, even it before pandemic, and after pandemic it has gone more so. So what are the hazards of it and how to handle this one according to the 14th Finance Commission report. Basically the article is written by a former member of 14th Finance Commission. Then in the text and context section we have one article on Delhi NCR region's economic geographic survey, you could say, that how Delhi National Capital Region and Delhi National Capital Territory, both, it's a largest hub of economic activity and employment in India and most populated also. As we know that India has bypassed China few months ago, the largest populous country. So Delhi is going to be the largest metropolitan city in the world by 2028. Right now it's a Tokyo. So it will be Delhi very soon. So it discusses about that what are the measures that could be led to better opportunities and infrastructure, economy, and how things are being coordinated by the states concerned. So NCR regions economic geography evaluation, that is the one article. Another article is there on the some books are being like Harsh Mandar. Harsh Mandar you might be knowing, who is an ex-IAS officer, and he runs an NGO and writes on burning issues especially. And so in one of his books, Jayati Ghosh, an economist, she has also written a book. Another, Jyoti Mukul, has written a book. On all these three books it has been mentioned that how pandemic has made us realize that how much incapable and culpable we are for the death and destruction of millions of people. It is not that state is only responsible, it is our morality, our way of life that has betrayed our section of the population. And so it basically it takes a reference from in Rajasthan recently gig workers act has been brought, okay, for protection of gig workers. Who is called gig workers? Those who are like your Ola, Rapido, Uber or Zomato, Swiggy, those people who work for these companies, okay, they are not protected, they are unorganized. So for them, they are saying that there will be an welfare board for them and some mechanism to safeguard in case of emergency or death or something like that. So it's a welcome initiative that we are going to legislate. So this Gig Workers Act in Rajasthan that has been brought in the assembly has led to this discussion on that how did we handle, how could we betray our millions of people, and overnight they became destitute, and some people suffered for that, and a state as well as those who could afford to share something in the world cities and societies, they never looked forward and come help account. That is the major article. Another one is that on foreign minister of China has been scrubbed off the internet after so many months of absence. Previous foreign minister has been put in place, and his identity has been scrubbed from internet, saying that it may be he was considered very close to Xi Jinping, but God knows what happens. And so it's a mystery, something about, that China is so much closed, iron-clad closed society. You don't get news in a realistic manner. So quickly let us start with, as I briefed you, this is the whole essence of today's discussion that we have. One thing I think I missed is that on a spotlight, say Mujiri Heritage Project, they have given an article. I will discuss something on that. So let us come for the front page quickly, again ours. So first news is that no trust motion against Modi government admitted in Lok Sabha. Om Birla, the speaker, has accepted no trust motion. You know that to bring a no trust motion, 50 member of parliaments are minimum needed. So their trust has been taken off, and it has been decided. The opposition parties are willing to have it earliest, leaving aside all other works in the parliament. And so date has not yet been decided. Opposition knows it very well that they don't have majority. Ruling party has a comfortable majority in the Lok Sabha, so they can easily pass no confidence motion. But it is an exercise in humiliating the Prime Minister and making him come forward to speak something and clear his stance and measures. Why his conspicuous silence has very much betrayed the Prime Minister's domain and persona, that state was burning for such a long time and nobody came. The healing touch was not there. So this no confidence motion is basically to have a debate on the whole issue. Our Home Minister Amit Shah has said that, okay, fine, we are ready to have a discussion. Both are ready to have a discussion. Opposition also, ruling party also says that they want to have a discussion in the parliament, but they are not finding a mechanism how to do it and when. So no confidence motion will be a roller coaster ride for the sake of Manipur imbroglio that it has become. Next front page news is regarding center urges citing FATF, FATF, Financial Action Task Force. The Financial Action Task Force is an intergovernmental body based in Paris, France. It was established in 1989 or something like that, in early 90s. Okay, and it is its mandate is global money laundering and terrorist funding watchdog. Basically, FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, is a intergovernmental body with the mandate of watching, taking measures, providing legislatures, auditing the government bodies, institutions, to make sure 200 members are there, 200 member countries are there. So basic safeguard is that global money laundering, okay, and terrorist funding, how it has to be stopped, and without collaboration it is not possible. So you know, it is the old case that Supreme Court has ordered that his present incumbent ED Director Sanjay Misra, the appointment was illegal. He got 3 consecutive extension after his 2 years fixed tenure. So the Supreme Court had in earlier order had said that his appointment is illegal, and it had given center leeway. Okay, that July 31, up to July 31, replace this person with someone else. Now, the Tushar Mehta, our Solicitor General, on behalf of Center, has approached the Supreme Court saying that an urgent hearing is needed so that he should remain there. Why? Because the Financial Action Task Force will visit India, and he is the person who knows everything about money laundering cases, and so he according to government, he is indispensable, and Supreme Court give an extension for him to continue till, that is 15th November, till, so that FATF's action should be coordinated well, and it is in the national interest. So we'll watch out what happens, what is the final decision of Supreme Court. Another one major news that in the front page section is of the Lok Sabha passes Forest Conservation Amendment Bill. Lok Sabha passes Forest Conservation Amendment Bill. You know that Forest Conservation Act is 1980. Right now, persisting Forest Conservation Act is known as the Forest Conservation Act 1980, under which under the purview of Forest Conservation Act 1980, things are moving on right now, but it has been felt that it obstructs certain things in like defense areas, or the forest in the bordering areas are having difficulties in clearing and making a base for. Our defense minister has also, and environment minister has also said that now people, our soldiers living in Siachen and other Ladakh regions will have no problem, so that they can have their own settlements and roads and things can be done. So this Forest Conservation Act 1980 has now become one संरक्षण एवं संवर्धन अधिनियम, वन संरक्षण एवं संवर्धन अधिनियम. The name itself is in the name change itself is an issue in the by the southern states and northeast, saying that it is a typical Hindi word has been brought on it. Why not it was the Forest Conservation Act, Forest Conservation Amendment Act? Why not it was so like that? So वन संरक्षण एवं संवर्धन अधिनियम. That is, the name itself is being very much hotly debated. Apart from that, some issues that we know that there was a lot of issues. Joint Parliamentary Committee was set up to look into the citations that were asked from the people concerned, stakeholders concerned, but ultimately Joint Parliamentary Committee rejected all of that, and what was the draft legislation on First Amendment Act has become now वन संरक्षण एवं संवर्धन अधिनियम, and it is going to be a law. So then we have a beautiful article in our spotlight section. This spotlight section is Mujiri. You might be aware of, if you are a regular reader and things like that, you might be Mujiri Biennial is a very famous project and things going on Kerala for a few years back, where it's art and culture, economy, polity, geography, history, archaeology, everything comes into play. Now the government, central government has come out with the Mujiri Heritage Project. You should be knowing what is Mujiri. Mujiri is a most ancient port of India, which was a hub of a spice trade for 2,500 years also. This port city, that is Mujiri, is being mentioned in Sangam literature also, in Ramayana also. So what we find, that is a very ancient city. It was a port city which was having global traders coming for spices. Okay, so it was a hub of trade and a first coastal city, port city that was. Now it is defunct, you know it very well, it was inundated, flooded and all. So now Kochi harbour is there, and Adani is another in Binjigram. He is setting up a new deep water port in Kerala. But in this is basically now a heritage project. Lots of museums, temples, churches, mosques are there, synagogues are there, And so the government has come out with the support of locals. It's a basically beautiful backwater. You know that Kerala is known as God's own country, and there you will find such a, in future you will find that this place has become a really hub of tourism in Kerala, backwaters of Kerala, due to its such a glorious past, history, culture, archaeology, polity, geography, food. They have included your itinerary will include fish curry also, and a boat, dedicated boat to day-long visit to various museums, mosque, and church and other places. So it's a very cultural, you could say, one should be aligned with knowing and be proud of our cultural heritage. So Mujiri is one of those grand cultural heritage projects taken on in India scale. You read this article for better, more clear understanding of that. Now we shall go for our editorial pages that we had already briefly discussed. In the first editorial, that is uniting the House, the PM must use Parliament as a forum to reassure the people of Manipur. I said that no confidence motion that is being brought by the opposition parties and being accepted by the Speaker Om Birla has the sole purpose is that Prime Minister should come forward and speak on the issue in the Parliament. That is the forum, that he should not avoid that one. And it will be a debate, as we know that ruling party as well as opposition both are saying that they are ready to discuss and debate and take measures so that Manipur imbroglio, that is a festering wound it has become on Indian democracy, can have a healing touch. So this is the opportunity for the Prime Minister as well as our leaders from both flanks, opposition and ruling. They should come forward together and provide a healing touch to people suffering in Manipur. Another one is that I said that it's a Indian International Monetary Fund. Okay, International Monetary Fund has come out with the Monetary Fund's latest update to World Economic Outlook. It brings out regularly World Economic Outlook. Okay, and wherein it says that condition has improved, economic condition has improved, but it is still in a very precarious state due to prevailing recessionary status of US and China, two major economies in the world. They are not seeing growth. That is very much you could say very much dangerous for future or medium term growth and all. So it says that the United States and China have slowed down appreciably and faced increased uncertainty amid global and domestic headwinds. So that is a sign that economy is yet not that much shining as it should have after post-pandemic scenario. Then Euro crisis is also there in Europe due to Ukraine's invasion by Russia and Ukraine. You could say Ukraine crisis simply. Due to Ukraine crisis, Euro is sinking. Major economies like you know that Britain has come out of EU, Brexit was there, and Britain came out of the European Union. So Britain's economy is also volatile situation. Here in a major economy within the Europe is Germany and France, and both are having feeling the heat of Ukraine war due to rising cost of natural gas and processed petroleum products and things like that. So and other regions are also there. So these slowing down of US market, China, as well as Euro crisis, all these things are compounding for those who are a smaller country, those who cannot withstand the messiness of the global economy, those who have not power to hold on the things with the external added. Another thing that has been, you know very much that after the attack on the Kerch Bridge, that in Russia, Crimea, linking Crimea and Russia, the bridge that was damaged by the waterborne drones. After that, Russia has cancelled the agreement, UN mandated agreement for Ukraine to carry on its grain export. Regarding that, it says that Russia's termination of the Black Sea grain deal could also push up grain prices by as much as 15%. as it is being said by IMF economists. Now we come to our two other articles. That one is that, as I said, that a Chinese diplomatic staff, okay, has written that is the SCO is success story that can get better. SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Okay, you know that India successfully India successfully hosted 23rd meeting of Council of Heads of State of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and the world witnessed another SCO moment. It was Delhi Declaration. And what was the Delhi Declaration? The countering radicalization and exploring cooperation in digital transformation. Countering radicalization and exploring cooperation in digital transformation. That was the Delhi Declaration of 23rd Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting hosted by Delhi, India. Now it says that this article, the crux of this article is that India should, these countries in SCO should be having an independent voice over, because it is concerned with our regional affairs and safety and security. It should not be swayed by US or global powers handling of China or issues in Asia Pacific like that. Okay, so it says that it's a basically, you could say it's a propaganda article, but the Hindu has published it in its editorial page. What is the newspapers had to that, okay, fine, let us have the views from other point of view also, and you should also have different viewpoints regarding an issue. So it says that we should enhance solidarity and mutual trust for common security. There are some external elements that are orchestrating a new Cold War and bloc confrontation in our region. There are some external elements that are orchestrating a new Cold War and bloc confrontation in our region. These developments must be addressed with high vigilance and firm rejection. SCO member states need to upgrade security cooperation and crack down in a decisive manner on terrorism, separatism and extremism and transnational organized crime. So basically you understand that it's a Chinese purview that India should, but you know that India is member of Shanghai SCO, but still we have some misgivings about being China is the center hold of main fulcrum of SCO. Being China, it's a fulcrum, we are always doubtful of its intention and its shenanigans that it goes in his dealings of big projects. Now let us come to our another editorial that is shedding more light on the debt dilemma. Debt dilemma, D-E-B-T, debt dilemma. Debt dilemma is that the debt GDP ratio is quite high. Countries like India are having, even US has very much high debt to GDP ratios. Most indebted country is USA. But in country like India are having another problem, that if you have higher debt to GDP ratios, what happens that a large chunk of money goes into repayment of the interest. Okay, the loans that has been taken, and a huge amount of money, it says that 5% of GDP and 25% of revenue receipts go into the repayment of this loan debt. And what happens, this 5% of GDP, you can understand that's put together all the budgets that we have for education as well as health sector. Just imagine the total budget together, education and health sector, that sort of money goes simply for interest payment that we have borrowed there. So the article, the writer is a former member of the 14th Finance Commission, and he says that its recommendations are not also being adhered by either central government or state governments. Some states are very much culprit, like Punjab, Kerala, Rajasthan and West Bengal. 4 states are being mentioned here. They are the biggest culprits. Okay, Bihar has a surplus budget. Punjab, Kerala, Rajasthan and West Bengal, their debt to GDP ratio is very high, and still they are taking in election year, you know that populist measures are taken, like giving electricity free or cash transfers or something like that, like someone giving laptop free, and some states have promised to bring back old pension scheme also. So the writer says that bringing old pension schemes is also very much tantamount to increasing the debt to GDP ratio, state GDP ratios. So it should be avoided. Government should avoid populist measures in order to consolidate this front. It's a very important article, and you need to understand that where does the money go? The budget section. So it says that the elevated levels of, I am reading the just introductory line, the elevated levels of India's fiscal deficit and public debt. Fiscal deficit, you know that we have deficit means when you have more expenditure and less income, that is deficit. So fiscal deficit and public debt have been a matter of concern for a long time in India. Even before COVID-19 it was very high. During COVID it went up. After post-COVID it has come down, but yet no way it is possible to bring it back to the pre-COVID times. Okay. It says that even if in the medium terms it is not that much dangerous, that this high debt to GDP ratio, but it has its consequences, like say, even when the sustainability of debt may not be threatened in the medium term, the cost of carrying high deficit and debt to the economy are heavy. क्या है? What are the costs that we pay for it? As I said that 5% of GDP goes in the interest payment, and then we have high level of technical high levels of debt make it difficult to calibrate counter cyclical fiscal policy and constrain the ability of government to respond to shocks or emergency situations like that. And third, it says that debt market in India is captive, in the sense mostly these government securities are in the hands of nationalized bank. You know that SLR, it is the RBI regulated system, statutory liquidity ratio, SLR, that 18% of that much has to be maintained in government bond and securities. So basically debt market in India is, domestic debt market is captive, it's a nationalized banks. So naturally what happens that when they dispose their resources for this fulfilling the SLR requirements, they don't have fresh funds to give common people for investment, and thereby increasing the interest rate. Because you have less money, more people are willing to have, so you go for that one. So these are the reasons. One positive outlook it says is that goods and services tax has started GSTN, Goods and Services Tax Network, GSTN platform that has smoothened the tax, indirect taxes. So it says that goods and services tax has started showing good result, and now cross-checking of GST receipts and income tax receipt has also given rise to income tax enhancement in income tax returns, because it can be easy, it's a technology based, it's Aadhaar based, it's a PAN linked, it can be easily cross checked. So this has led to increase in revenue generation for the government that was earlier deciphered. So we conclude by that, and finally we go for our text and context section. Quickly we will conclude that within few minutes. So the first one is that changing contours of Delhi. So contours, topography, these things means geography. It's an economic geography of national capital region as well as national capital territory. We have national capital, we have national capital territory that is ruled by Arvind Kejriwal. Then we have NCR, National Capital Region, that includes your Gurugram, whatever. It's a technically Gurugram. Locally they call it Gurugama. And then we have Noida, Faridabad, Ghaziabad. So UP, Haryana, Faridabad, Gurugama, Haryana, Ghaziabad, Noida, Gautam Buddha Nagar, that is known as, it's in UP. but all together they are known as NCR because they are having certain infrastructure projects like Delhi Metro connectivity, mobilization of laborers, and other features are there. So basic crux of this article is that we shall go for a long-term haul of economic geographical survey of this region and try to make it a globe, because in future it is going to be the largest population on earth in this area. Still in India they have the largest economic hub right now, but still rampant issues are there. The things that shifted to NCT to NCR, yet it has not been replenished by some high-tech industry or something like that. So other issues are there. Finally, I will conclude by this one, the book that we have mentioned, the COVID-19 and the state policy interventions during the pandemic. It's basically the Gig Workers Act passed by the Rajasthan Assembly is the starting point of this article. It's a good initiative. Then it goes back to pandemic days, that how migrant laborers and all workers, those unorganized sectors workers suffered heavily due to having nothing like a fallback option or something like that. Okay, so if they had the social security board or social security body to take care of, welfare board to take care of, then this would not have happened. And so three writers, Harsh Mandar has been quoted, Harsh Mandar's new book, Burning Pyres, Mass Graves and a State That Failed Its People. It has been published by Speaking Tiger. The book's name is Burning Pyres, Mass Graves and a State That Failed Its People. It's published by Speaking Tiger. It's written by Harsh Mandar, and it's critically he criticizes. He himself was a civil servant earlier, Gujarat cadre. Another book is Jayati Ghosh, JNU economist. She has written the book In the Making of the Catastrophe. In the Making of a Catastrophe, the state in the time of COVID-19. It's being published by Aleph. That is run by David Davider, who was earlier with. Next one is another one, Jyoti Mukul's A Story of Two Indian Summers. Okay, so basically it says that this apathy of the state as well as well-off section of the society that led to this sort of destruction. It was not only the health issue, it was other issues also that broke down their spine. So it says that the Rajasthan's law for gig workers provide a glimmer of hope. If you have not watched, please watch Abhinav Sinha's Bheer, a very good movie of Rajkumar Rao and others that depicts the pandemonium that created the pandemic lockdown and how it led to suffering of masses. So Rajasthan's law for gig workers provide a glimmer of hope. As the economist John Robinson said about India, for everything that can be said about India, the opposite is also true. So thank you very much.